Okay, I'm going to make this video about this very interesting book that I got maybe about 2 years ago. It's called Fighting for Our Lives, an Anarchist Primer. And this is a really interesting book because pretty much I was totally not interested in politics. And not that this is really politics, but it gives me something to, I don't know, believe in or whatever. Overture, a true story. We dropped out of school, got divorced, broke with our families and ourselves and everything we'd known. We quit our jobs, violated our leases, threw our furniture out on the sidewalk, and hit the road. We sat on the swings of children's playgrounds until our toes were frostbitten, admiring the moon light on the dewy grass, writing poetry on the wind for each other. We went to bed early, lay awake until well past dawn, recounting all the awful things we'd done to others and they'd done to us, and laughing, blessing and absolving each other in this crazy cosmos. We stole into museums showing reruns of old Guy Debord films to write "Fight, Foul, and Faster, my friend, the old world is behind you" on the backs of theater seats. The scent of gasoline still fresh on our hands, we watched the new sunrise and spoke in hushed voices about what we should do next, thrilling in the budding consciousness of our limitless power. We used stolen calling card numbers to talk to our teenage lovers, though phone sex from telephones in the lobbies of police stations. We broke into the private pools and saunas of the rich to enjoy them as their owners never had. We slipped into the offices where our browbeaten friends shuffled papers for petty despots to draft an anti-imperialist manifestos on their computers, or just sleep under their desks. They were shocked that morning they finally walked in on us, half naked, brushing our teeth at the water cooler. We lived through harrowing, exhilarating moments when we did things we always had thought impossible, spitting in the face of all our apprehensions to kiss unapproachable beauties, drop banners from the tops of national monuments, drop out of college, and then grit our teeth expecting the world to end, but it didn't. We stood or knelt in empty concert halls, on rooftops, under lightning storms, on the dead grass of graveyards, and swore with tears in our eyes never to go back again. We sat at the desks in high school detention rooms, against the warm brick of Greyhound bus stations, of disposable synthetic sheets in the emergency treatment worlds of unsympathetic hospitals. On the hard benches of penitentiary dining halls, and swore the same thing through clenched teeth, but with no less tenderness. We communicated with each other through initials carved into boarding school desks, designs spray-painted through stencils onto alley walls, holes kicked into corporate windows, televised on the 5 o'clock news, letters posted with counterfeit stamps or carried across oceans in friends' packs, secret instructions coded into anonymous emails, clandestine meetings in coffee shops, love poetry carved into the planks of prison bunks. We sheltered illegal immigrants, political refugees, fugitives from justice, and adolescent runaways in our modest homes and beds, as they too sheltered us. We improvised recipes to bake each other cookies, cakes, breakfasts in bed, weekly free meals in the park, great feasts celebrating our courage and kinship, so we might taste their sweetness on our very tongues. We entrusted each other with our hearts and appetites, together composing symphonies of caresses and pleasure, making love a verb in a language of exhilaration. We wreak havoc upon the gender norms, ethnic stereotypes, and cultural expectations, showing with our bodies and our relationships and our desires just how arbitrary their laws of nature were. We wrote our own music and performed it to each other, so when we hummed to ourselves, we could celebrate our companion's creativity rather than repeat the radio's dull drone. In borrowed attic rooms, we tendered ailing foreign lovers and struggled to write the lines that could ignite the fires dormant in the multitudes around us. In the last moment before dawn, flashlights tightened our shaking hands. We dismantled power boxes on the houses of fascists who were in host rallies, who were to roast rallies, who were to host rallies the following day. We fought these fascists tooth, nail, and knife in the streets when no one else would even confront them in print. We planted gardens in the abandoned lots of ghettos, hitchhiked across continents in record time, tossed pies in the faces of kings and bankers. We played saxophones together in the darkness of echoing caves in West Virginia. In Paris, armed with cobblestones and parasols, we held the gendarmes at bay for nights on end until we could almost taste the new world coming through the tear gas. We fought our way through their lines to the Opera House and took it over and held discussions there 24 hours a day as to what the world could be. In Chicago, we created an underground network to provide illegal abortions in safe conditions and a supportive atmosphere where the religious fanatics would have preferred us to die in shame and tears down dark alleys. In New York, we held hands and massaged each other's shoulders as our enemies closed in to arrest us. In Quebec, we tore up the highway and pounded out primordial rhythms on the traffic signs with the fragments. And the sound was vaster and more beautiful than any song ever played in a concert hall. In Santiago, we robbed banks to fund papers for transgressive poetry. In Siberia, we plotted impossible escapes and carried them out, circumnavigating the globe, foreign papers and borrowed money to return to the arms of our friends. In Montenegro, in the squatted township, we built huts from plywood and plastic sheeting, pirated electricity from nearby power lines, and conferred with our neighbors as to how we could contribute to the new community. In San Diego, when they jailed us for speaking our minds, we invited our friends and filled their prisons until they had to change their policy. In Oregon, we climbed trees, lived in them for months to protect the forests we had hiked and camped in as children. In Mexico, when we hopped freight trains, we traded stories about working in the Zapatas and the Chiapas, about the floods witnessed from boxcars passing through Texas, about our grandparents who fought the Mexican Revolution.